Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating mix of history, design, and, let's be honest, unexpected value in the world of watches.
That's right.
We're looking at the Tissot PRX Chronograph. Now, this is a more recent release, but it's part of that whole PRX collection that's just been a massive success story for Tissot over the last few years.
Oh, huge. A real phenomenon.
Yeah, it really hit a nerve, didn't it?
Okay.
That classic sport luxury look, some cool colors, and a price that made people sit up and notice. It's become a modern pillar for, well, a 170-year-old brand.
And specifically, these chronograph models we're focusing on today, they joined the lineup in 2022. They really brought a whole new dimension to it all.
Right.
So our mission for you today is really to dig into our sources, pull out the key insights, and show you why this particular watch, the Chrono, is drawing so much attention. It's more than just popular.
Okay, let's do it. So, to really get why the PRX chronograph is such a big deal now, we probably need to rewind a bit. Where did this story even begin? What's the origin?
Oh, yeah, you got to go back all the way back to 1978. That's when the original Tissot PRX first came out.
678. Okay.
And it was a quartz movement back then, pretty common for the era. But what really made it stand out was the design.
The look, yeah.
That flat, kind of barrel-shaped case, multifaceted, and how it just flowed, smoothly integrated into this really flexible, articulated steel bracelet.
Very distinctive. And the name itself, PRX, I read it actually stands for something specific.
It does, yeah. The P was for precise, R for robust, and the X, that's the Roman numeral 10.
10, me.
10 atmospheres of water resistance. So 100 meters baked right into the name.
Wow, okay. Precise,
Yeah.
robust, 10 atmospheres. Almost like a spec sheet in the name.
Pretty much, yeah.
Now that look, that integrated bracelet, the whole sport luxury feel, it wasn't completely out of nowhere in the late 70s, was it? There were some precedents.
Oh, absolutely not. You can definitely see the lineage, the inspiration. It clearly echoed some groundbreaking designs that had landed just a few years earlier.
Like the Royal Oak.
Exactly. Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, 1972, that was the game changer. And it influenced a whole wave of these, sport luxury watches back then.
Right, you had the Patek Philippe Nautilus.
Yep, the Nautilus, the Girard-Perregaux Laureato, even the Vacheron Constantin 222.
Which led to the overseas, yeah.
Right, the precursor.
Yeah.
So big names, iconic designs. The PRX was definitely part of that conversation aesthetically.
But Tissot's angle was different.
Yeah, and this is classic Tissot strategy, really. Their PRX was, well, by far the most affordable way to get that look, a genuine alternative to those super high luxury brands.
Those other ones were often mechanical, right?
Mm.
Not quartz like the original PRX.
Precisely. That was a key difference. Tissot offered that really coveted style, but with a reliable quartz movement and, crucially, without that eye-watering price tag. It democratized the look, you could say.
So it offered that aspirational design to a wider audience. Sounds like a solid plan. But its initial run was quite short. It disappeared after just a few years.
That's right, yeah. It didn't stick around for long the first time.
Why do you think that was? I mean, the design holds up.
Well, you have to think about the context. Early 1980s, what was dominating the watch world then?
Ah, right. The rise of digital.
Especially from Japan.
Exactly. That massive waves of Japanese-made digital watches just swept through the market. They were everywhere. So a traditional Swiss analog watch, even a quartz one like the PRX, probably just got lost in the shuffle. The trend shifted hard.
So market forces, basically. It got sidelined.
Pretty much. It ended up being mothballed, sat in the Tissot archives for, well, decades.
Until 2021.
Until 2021, yeah.
Okay, and this is where the story gets really interesting for today's market. How does a watch that's been essentially forgotten for almost 40 years suddenly reappear and become this huge hit? Who dug it up?
It's actually a pretty cool rediscovery story. Tissot CEO, Sylvain Dalla. Apparently, he was just exploring the company's archives, looking through their hits.
And stumbled upon it. Yeah, I saw this 1970s cult classic design. And he didn't just see a vintage piece, he saw potential. He recognized it could be the foundation for Tissot's modern identity.
Wow. So he saw that retro cool factor, but also something timeless that could be updated.
Exactly. A bit of luck, maybe, but also a really sharp eye for what the market might want. He seized on it.
Okay, so fast forward to 2021. The first modern PRX models arrive. They kept the quartz movement, staying true to the original in that sense. How else did they update it?
Well, they adapted it for modern tastes. The case size went up to 40 millimeter, a bit larger than the original.
Right, more contemporary sizing.
And the dials initially had these nice sun-brushed finishes, which is actually a little different from the original's dial, some of which had more of that royal oak-like waffle texture.
Gotcha. So quartz first, but then came the big step up, right? The automatics.
Yes, very quickly after. They released the first automatic PRX models, kept that same popular 40mm case size.
But inside, something new.
Inside, they put the Powermatic 80 caliber, or Tissot's version of it anyway. It's a Swatch Group exclusive movement.
And the Powermatic 80, what's the headline there? Why was that significant?
The big deal is the power reserve. An 80-hour power reserve.
80 hours. That's a lot.
It's huge, especially at this price point. It means, you can take the watch off Friday night.
Leave it in the drawer all weekend.
And pick it up Monday morning, and it's still running. No need to reset the time. It's incredibly practical for daily wear.
That's a major convenience factor. And didn't these Powermatic models also bring back a key design element?
They did. That's where they resurrected the waffle pattern on the dials, or tapisserie style, some call it.
Ah, okay. So connecting back to that original vibe even more.
Exactly. And that move really boosted the collection's popularity among watch enthusiasts. It felt like the complete package, modern mechanics, vintage looks.
You could see the momentum building. Tissot clearly saw it too. They followed up quickly with more versions, right? More quartz, more Powermatics.
Oh, yeah, they leaned into it. Lots of iterations the following year. And most importantly for our chat today, that's when they introduced the first PRX models with a complication beyond just the date.
The PRX automatic chronographs. The watch of the hour.
Precisely. The star of today's deep dive.
Okay, so we've got the backstory, the evolution. Let's zoom right in on this chronograph model now.
Yeah.
You mentioned it landed in 2022. First impression, it wears differently, right? It's bigger.
It definitely is. It has a more substantial presence on the wrist, no doubt. The case is 42 millimeters in diameter.
Okay, up from 40 on the others.
Right. And the thickness is 14.4 millimeters, which, is quite a jump from the automatic three-hander at 11 millimeters or the quartz at just over 10 millimeters.
That's a noticeable difference in thickness.
It is, but it's pretty expected, really. You need that extra space to house the self-winding chronograph movement inside. It's just the nature of the beast with automatic chronos.
Makes sense. But it still looks like a PRX, keeps that core design DNA.
Oh, absolutely. You still get that signature tonneau case shape, that sort of barrel or cushion rectangle, made from 316L stainless steel, solid stuff.
And the finishing.
Really nice satin-brushed finish on most surfaces, which looks great. But then you have these well-placed polished facets on the bezel and case edges that just catch the light beautifully, adds a bit of flash.
Nice contrast.
Huh.
And practical features. Water resistance.
Still got the 100 meters or 10 bar water resistance. Totally fine for everyday wear, swimming, that sort of thing. Standard for a sporty chrono.
Good. And the crystal?
Scratch-resistant sapphire crystal, of course. And it has an anti-reflective coating, which really helps with legibility, cuts down glare.
And the crown and pushers, they look quite integrated.
They do. You've got the fluted push-pull crown, easy to grip, and it's kind of sandwiched between these two prominent rectangular chronograph pushers.
Right, start, stop, and reset.
Exactly. And they cleverly follow the lines of the case so they don't stick out awkwardly. They feel pretty integrated into the overall design.
Okay, so the case is substantial but well executed. Let's talk dials. This seems to be where the PRX line really shines, offering variety. How does the chrono approach it?
The dials are great. They have this cool mix, like you said, charmingly retro, but also quite aggressively modern in some ways.
What were the launch options?
The first ones in 2022 were classics. You had the Panda dial.
White main dial, black subdials, always popular.
Always. And the reverse Panda, so a deep blue main dial with white subdials, also a killer look.
Nice. Have they added more since then?
They have. There's a version with a monochromatic dark green dial, very moody, and also a blue Panda, which is interesting. It's a blue main dial, but with darker blue subdials, a bit more subtle contrast.
Cool variations. And the hands and markers, what are we looking at there?
You've got these baton-style hour and minute hands, quite bold, bluntly tapered at the tips, thin faceted applied hour markers, and a slim lancet-style central seconds hand for the chronograph.
Any difference between the models there?
Yeah, a little touch. On that Panda model, the hands and markers are gold-plated. Gives it a slightly warmer, more vintage feel, maybe?
Nice detail.
Whereas on the blue reverse Panda, they're rhodium-plated, cooler, and more modern-looking. And importantly, all these elements have Super-LumiNova.
For lume, yeah. How's the glow?
Pretty good. Gives off that bright, kind of minty blue glow in the dark. Legibility shouldn't be an issue at night.
Okay, one dial element that always seems to generate discussion on watches. The date window. Where does the PRX chrono put it?
Ah, yes, the date. It's tucked away down at the 4.3 deposition.
The tilted 4.3 date. Always a bit controversial for symmetry lovers.
It can be, yeah. It's black numerals on a white disc on all models, which, does break the symmetry a little. It probably stands out most on that dark green dial version.
Is that just where the movement dictates it has to go?
Often, yeah. It's likely driven by the base architecture of the ETA Valjoux movement inside. Sometimes it's a compromise designers have to make.
Fair enough. What about texture on the dial? The three-hand Powermatics have that waffle pattern. Does the chrono?
Mostly, no. Which is interesting. Most of the chrono dials feature a vertical satin-brushed finish on the main surface. It's quite different, gives it its own character.
So that differentiates it from the three-handers.
Exactly. Except there's always an exception, right?
Always.
The green dial automatic chronograph does actually have the waffle pattern.
Oh, okay. So Tissot is mixing it up even within the chrono line. Interesting choice.
Yeah, maybe playing with different feels for different colors. But there's another texture, too. Look closely at the subdials.
Right, at 3, 6, and 9 o'clock. What's going on there?
And also on the outer track of the main dial, there's this subtle snail-like texture, concentric circles. It's often called snailed finishing.
Yeah, kind of like vinyl record grooves.
Exactly like that. It's a really nice, subtle detail that adds depth.
And functionally, those subdials, 3, 6, 9.
So the one at 9 o'clock is your running seconds. That's ticking away all the time, showing the normal time.
Okay, small seconds.
Yep. Then the subdials at 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock are for the chronograph. The 3 o'clock counter tracks elapsed minutes, up to 30, and the 6 o'clock counter tracks elapsed hours, up to 12.
And the big central seconds hand is also for the chrono.
Right. That only moved when you start the chronograph with the top pusher. It sweeps around to measure the elapsed seconds.
Got it. Standard chrono layout, clear and functional.
Very much so. Easy to read at a glance.
Okay, let's flip it over then. You mentioned the movement dictates some things. What exactly is powering this watch? We see it through the case back, right?
Yes, you get a sapphire exhibition case back, which is great to see. And inside, you're looking at the self-winding ETA A05.H31 movement.
ETA A05.H31, and you said that's based on...
It's based on the ETA Valjoux 7753. And that movement traces its lineage directly back to the legendary, absolutely iconic Valjoux 7750.
Wow. Okay, so this isn't just some generic chronograph movement. It has serious pedigree.
Serious pedigree. The Valjoux 7750 family is arguably one of the most successful and widely used automatic chronograph movements ever, found in watches costing many, many times more than this Tissot.
So getting that kind of mechanical heritage in a watch under $2,000, that seems like a big part of the value proposition here.
It's a huge part. It offers you, the buyer, access to genuine horological history and a proven, robust workhorse movement. That's pretty impressive.
And these A05 movements, they're specific to Swatch Group brands.
That's right. This A05 family is exclusive to watchmakers within the Swatch Group. So Tissot, Longines, Hamilton, Rado, Mito, Certina. They get access to these enhanced Valjoux-based calibers.
Because Swatch Group owns ETA, and ETA bought Valjoux years ago, keeping it all in the family.
Exactly. It's a strategic advantage for them, allows them to offer movements like this at competitive prices.
So beyond the pedigree, what are the specs? What makes this A05.H31 tick, technically speaking?
Well, it's got some solid specs. The power reserve, as we discussed with automatic chronos needing more space, isn't the 80 hours of the Powermatic three-handers.
All right, you mentioned that. What is it here?
It's 60 hours, which is still very respectable. That's actually an upgrade from the base 77753 movement's typical 48 hours, likely due to improvements like an optimized mainspring barrel.
60 hours is plenty. Gets you through the weekend easily if you take it off Friday.
Absolutely. And it beats at a modern frequency of 28,800 vibrations per hour, or 4 hertz.
Which helps with accuracy, especially for the chronograph function.
Precisely. Ensures smoother sweep of the chrono seconds hand and good precision overall. It uses a cam-actuated system for the chronograph, which is robust and reliable.
What about other features? Hacking? Quick set date?
Yep, got both. Hacking seconds, so the second hand stops when you pull the crown out, letting you set the time precisely. And a quick set date, so you don't have to wind the hands around and around to change the date. Big convenience.
And durability features. Shock protection.
Standard stuff you'd expect. It uses ink block shock protection for the balance wheel, which is crucial for protecting the movement's most delicate part from everyday bumps and knocks.
Good for peace of mind.
And an Edicron regulator system, which allows a watchmaker to make fine adjustments to the rate for better accuracy. And looking through that case back,
Yeah, you mentioned finishing earlier. Can you actually see much?
You can, even with the rotor partially obscuring the view and the rotor itself is somewhat open-worked, you can definitely glimpse some nice finishing on the bridges and plates underneath.
Like what?
Perlage, that decorative pattern of small overlapping circles. It's a traditional Swiss finishing technique.
And you don't always see that level of decoration at this price point.
You really don't. It's often reserved for higher-end watches. So seeing perlage here, even if it's machine applied, adds another layer of perceived value. It shows Tissot isn't just putting a basic movement in, they're presenting it nicely too.
Okay, great movement story. Let's talk about how it connects to the wrist. The bracelet is a huge part of the PRX identity. How does the Chronos bracelet feel?
It uses that same distinctive monolink bracelet design, really flows organically right out from between the lugs of the case.
Same satin-brushed finish as the case.
Yep, continues that finish beautifully. And it has quite a sharp taper, narrowing down stylishly towards the clasp.
And the clasp itself, what kind is it?